This man is truly outstanding. This man is the one of the best goalkeepers in Britain at this moment in time. And I'll tell you something about him. We like it. We like it. We like it a lot. We like him. We like him a lot. Super Jack Butland in goal. Now, it emerged in reports yesterday that Rangers had told a Premier League club where to go after they asked about the availability of Jack Butland. Jack Butland is by far, I think, the best signing we have made in recent times. And the fact that he was free as well, what a bargain. You can't get any bigger bargain than a free anyway, can you? But Jack has been superb this season, pulling off vital saves at vital times for the club and really impressing in all competitions. And it's quite clear that Jack loves being here at Rangers. Jack talked about the fact that he came here to play regular first team football, but not only that, he came here to play European football and to compete for trophies. And with Rangers, that is something that he is certainly doing. He's also talked about his desire to be called back into the England setup, something that does appear to be close to happening. Apparently, Gareth Southgate has had him watched. Now, the rumours and the stories and the reports that are going around at the moment are that Jack could well be recalled to England's squad for their upcoming friendly games, one of which is against Belgium, the other one I can't remember who it's against. But, it'd be certainly a fitting a tribute to such an outstanding goalkeeper. Jack's stats and Jack's figures this year have been absolutely phenomenal. Sometimes he's absolutely kept us in games. He's kept the score down away at PSV Eindhoven, which could have easily been a cricket score. He's pulled off some absolutely mind-bendingly amazing saves. And I think a lot of the goals, you go over the goals that he's conceded this season, 11 goals in 22 league games. That's less than a goal a game. It's 0.5 goals per game. A lot of those goals as well, I think if you look back across them, are not Jack's fault. In fact, you'd struggle, I think, to find any of the 11 that were down to Jack, more down to defensive lapses and defensive errors by Rangers, or even midfield errors, or whoever making an error, an outfield player making an error. Certainly not Jack's fault. Jack has also kept 18 clean sheets in 36 games, which is absolutely brilliant. A clean sheet every other game, which is absolutely phenomenal. And it's not just those stats, but it's also what he brings to the team. You look at him on the field, he is a true leader. He organises the defence. He doesn't let them away with anything. You can see him yelling and shouting at his defenders, telling them where he wants them, when he wants them there, what he wants them to do, and what he expects of them. His leadership is unquestionable, and I think he would make a fantastic Rangers captain, if I am being honest. Now, according to reports in the media, and these haven't been denied by anyone, but reportedly, Nottingham Forest made a £10 million bid for Jack Butland, which to me is a derisory amount of money for such a talented goalkeeper. I mean, certainly when you look at some of the other transfer fees that top goalkeepers have been transferred for, this is, ludicrous to think that Forest could think that Jack Butland would be available for £10 million. Absolutely stupid. I mean, Jordan Pickford, current England number one, cost Everton 25 million when he was transferred from Sunderland to Everton. And I certainly wouldn't put Jordan Pickford anywhere near the same quality as Jack Butland. Jesper Cillessen was 31.4 million when he moved from Valencia to Barcelona. Thibaut Courtois, £31.4 million when he moved from Chelsea to Real Madrid. Ederson, the Manchester City goalkeeper, cost 34.7 million from Benfica when he was signed. Andre Onana, who is absolutely awful, cost Manchester United £43.9 million. Certainly, I think that if you put a 4.39 million, you might be closer to actually Onana's true value. Alisson Becker, £56 million. And Kepa Arrizabalaga, the Chelsea goalkeeper, 71.6 million, which I find laughable for him. But, you look at those amounts of money that were paid for top goalkeepers, it's quite clear that, a goalkeeper is someone who can win you points and help to win you titles. You look at some of the greatest teams of all time, and they've had outstanding goalkeepers. You look at the successful Manchester United teams, Peter Schmeichel. And more importantly, you look at our successful teams, the Rangers teams that were successful, Chris Woods, Andy Gorham, Stefan Kloss, to name but a few outstanding goalkeepers, just that, would win us points every season with their fantastic work and their fantastic saves. Now, reportedly, Nottingham Forest came in with a £10 million bid for Jack Butland, which was rejected, thank goodness. Like I said, I think personally between 20 and 30 million is far more realistic for someone of Jack Butland's talent and Jack Butland's skills. He is 30 years old after all. Let's face it, goalkeepers can play right up until they're 36, 37, 38 years old and still have the same talent and the same ability. Now, where did this bid come from? Why did this bid come from Forest? Well, it's a little coincidence that Nottingham Forest's director of football is none other than that man himself. Sorry to use that picture, guys. Do hope it doesn't give you nightmares. But yes, former Rangers sporting director Ross Wilson is the director of football at Nottingham Forest. And obviously, Ross Wilson was part of the team that scouted and helped to bring Jack Butland to Rangers. So let's face it, it's no doubt that Ross obviously is interested in bringing him to Forest. Now, why I find this, deal, this possible transfer absolutely ludicrous is quite simple. Nottingham Forest are a club that is currently in trouble with the Premier League over FFP. They're in the same boat as Everton. They massively overspent and are now going to have to pay the cost of that. So I think, to think that they will be available to pay 10 million, 15 million, 20 million for Butland is utterly laughable. I really do genuinely not see any legs in the story whatsoever. The club are quite right to turn down that £10 million bid. He is worth far more than that to us. Let's face it, if he helps us go on and win the league and qualify for the Champions League, that's much more than that £10 million that he would have brought in. Like I said, if, in the summer, I don't want to lose Jack Butland. Realistically, I'd love Jack Butland to stay at Rangers for the rest of his career. Of course I would. But, if someone was to come in with 20 to 30 million pounds bid in the summer, you've got to listen to it. You've got to take it seriously because, we are a club now that needs to generate player transfer income. That certainly would be a huge fillip to the squad and a huge lift to Coppen and his budget to go and really rebuild this team. And this team does need that major rebuild. But anyway, thank goodness it is a situation where this man will not be leaving in this transfer window and we will be retaining him until the end of the season. He has been, I think, the player of the season in Scotland and certainly our player of the season this season. And obviously very popular with a large group of the Rangers fans. So, look, great news that obviously he's going nowhere. Correct news, correct judgment by the club. Now, look, we all want arrivals. Obviously Diomande arrived yesterday. We saw the fantastic videos that Rangers posted on the X, their Twitter site or the X site, of Diomande arriving at the club, getting a huge pat on the back from Philippe Clement. No wonder that, if you've seen it, the noise must have reverberated around the whole of Glasgow. I'm surprised that it wasn't actually heard in London, the way he slapped him on the back. I didn't knock him out or wind him. But Big Phil welcoming Diomande to the club. So great news, obviously, that Diomande is now here. Obviously, those transfer moves for Hefte and obviously as well for Oscar Cortez are still ongoing. As we enter the final 2 days of this transfer window, it does promise to be a busy, hopefully busy couple of days for Rangers. There does seem to be attempts to bring in a striker, active attempts in certainly. Hugo Kuipers, I think, was linked the other day that he is a Genk striker, but he is apparently destined for elsewhere. There is moves, I think, quite clearly to bring in someone to the club. I do that, like I said in the last night's podcast, and I'm pretty sick to death of talking about it, but it's not going to be Lawrence Shankland. Let's move on from that story. Let's think about the future and think about who it could be. And obviously, look at whoever it is and what they can bring to the club when it is announced by Rangers, who are obviously playing their cards very close to their chests over who the next striker could be. Now, Rangers have but one striker, but we have two, I suppose. We don't own Fabio Silva, and for me, Silva is not an out-and-out 9. He's more a 10 or a wing forward or someone who could play where Seema did. Has good footwork, don't get me wrong. Great positional sense, makes a good run, plays a good ball. Is a good player, don't get me wrong. But we have only one fit striker, realistically. Danilo is out to the end of the season. Kemar Roof, I really don't know what is going on with Kemar Roof, and if he ever will return, I think it's highly unlikely we'll ever see Kemar in a Rangers shirt ever again. So, look, at the moment we have Cyriel Dessers. Now, love him, hate him, tolerate him, think he's average. I don't know. Whatever you think about Cyriel Dessers, he is gloriously inconsistent. He is gloriously enigmatic. He is gloriously, I don't know what, gloriously something. He has his moments of brilliance, the goal against Hibernian, the goal against Betis, for example, and a great finish on Saturday against St Mirren. Then he has his moments of utter frustration, the miss against Hibs only a few moments after he scored, the chance against Celtic that he just, to this day, I don't know what the hell he was thinking, the miss against PSV Eindhoven when the score was 0-0, all opportunities where, if he'd taken those chances, results could have turned out substantially differently, with the exception of the Hibs game. Dessers is Dessers. He is just an enigma. And as Ronald de Boer said, when he plays with his head up, when he plays with confidence, he is a different striker to when he plays with no confidence and the weight of the world on his shoulders. He certainly is an interesting character. He certainly seems to be winning over some of the fan base, whilst other fan base remain dubious on him, I think, due to his past record. And as Stevie of Four Lads brilliantly put it, until he does it in the big games consistently and does it against them, judgment will be out on him. Now, according to a reliable source, not Fabrizio Romano, because that is the ultimate source, but still a reliable source, who is this guy here, Gianluca Di Marzio. He has tweeted this out. I'm not going to read the Italian bit, obviously. This is the Google Translate version of what Di Marzio said. Di Marzio is an Italian soccer pundit. He, again, a transfer expert like Fabrizio Romano. So hashtag Calcio Mercato at Hellas Verona FC. In attack, attempts for Jukanovic. That is the winger from Hammarabi that we were interested in. And hashtag Dessers. On the second, there is also at Torino FC _1906 in case of a number of hashtag Mir. So it is a case that apparently Hellas Verona and Torino are interested in signing Cyriel Dessers. Again, how true this is, obviously, it depends on how much you believe Di Marzio as a source. Apparently, he is quite a reliable source as far as Italian football teams are, who they are looking at and who they want to sign. Obviously not in the same league as Fabrizio Romano, but still a very reliable source. Look, it is quite incredible that Dessers obviously is attracting this attention. Who'd have thought a few months ago that would be the case? I think a lot of Rangers fans would have laughed at you if you said that Serie A clubs would be coming in for him. Dessers came to Rangers, didn't he, from Serie A, where he had an awful season at Cremonese, where he really struggled. But it does seem that Torino and Verona are interested in securing the services of Cyriel Dessers. Now, this obviously presents a huge dilemma for the fan base. There'll be a lot of fans who will be saying, no, God, no, don't sell him. He's our only striker and he's finally coming into form. There are another group of fans, obviously, who will be thinking, Jesus, if we can get some money for him, perhaps £3-4 million, sell him, get rid. There is, I think, going to be a split in the fan base, no matter what you think of Cyriel Dessers. But, realistically, I would never have said this a couple of months ago, we need to be holding on to him at least until the summer, because we're in a position where we may get one more striker, we may not get one more striker. And if we don't, do you really want to be running with Fabio Silva until the end of the season as our only striker? And then a possibility that Zach Lovelace could do a job and maybe one of Roof or Danilo returns more sooner than we imagined. I can't see it happening. Look, this realistically, unless a stupid money bid comes in, is, I think, a huge non-story. I don't think Dessers is going to go anywhere. I think Dessers will stay at least until the summer. Quite what happens after that, obviously, that will all be down to Philippe Clement and Niels Coppen. But certainly interesting times nonetheless as regards Cyriel Dessers. Now, there's another rumour going around about another exit player. Now, look, I understand that we do need to clear the decks a little bit. We have an awful lot of players who are consistently injured and kind of stealing a living. Kamar Roof, for example. We have a lot of players who are past their best and need to go on. Borna Barisic, for example. But one player who kind of, again, divides the fan base is Rabbi Matondo. Now, Rabbi started the season off on an absolute tear. That goal against PSV Eindhoven, for example, to put us 2-1 up and give us great hope. Rabbi at the start of the season was on what a lot of people were terming his redemption arc, weren't they? So, look, but since he's come back from injury, he's struggled for fitness. He's struggled to find that final product. His final product has been very poor. Now, a story in the media yesterday linked Rabbi Matondo with a move to Mainz in Germany. Apparently, Mainz are looking to strengthen their squad and looking for a creative, fast attacking player, all felt to fit Rabbi Matondo. Plus, their sporting director signed him previously when he was at Schalke. So, I think this is obviously the story. Now, sources close to the club have come out and denied this and said there is absolutely no truth in the rumour at all that Rabbi will be allowed to leave on loan to Mainz. I think it's a lot of lazy journalism. That's not what the club said. That's what I said. As well, if you look at this, yes, Cortez is perhaps on his way in. Yes, Diamande may be able to play wide, but I don't think that's the primary need for him. Then that leaves you McCausland, right. Seema's injured. It does leave you very short in those wide areas. We saw obviously on Saturday a failed attempt for Dujon Sterling to play on the left of midfield. So look, I think it's highly unlikely that we would allow Matondo to leave. That again could be one for next summer. If again we bring in some more wingers in the summer, I just again don't think there's any legs in it. And in fact, like I said, official club sources have said there is no truth whatsoever in the rumor regarding Rabbi Matondo. Well, it certainly seems to going to be a very exciting few days in the transfer market. And kind of, I don't know, we kind of forget the fact we're actually playing Saturday against Livy to some extent. We'll, of course, look at that game in more depth here on the channel as the week progresses. Well, as always, guys, we are so close now to getting to that magic total of 5,000 subscribers. I think it was 12 away at time of recording. So please smash that sub and help us achieve that. It'd be great if we get there today. Absolute legends if you could help us achieve that. Now, on the way out, there's one thing I always ask of you. Well, actually, no, there's not. I mean, there's two things, isn't there, you Wally? Two things I always ask. Number one, smash the like. It helps with the YouTube algorithm, whatever that is. And number two, always remember, never forget, we are the